Hey everyone, today I am bringing you an enlightening conversation around the fears that hold us back and how to release them once and for all. Welcome to Empowered Endeavors, where business strategy and purpose come together to turn your passion into a platform that profits. We transform ideas into influence and positive impact. Hello, I'm your host, Shaunna Lee, best-selling author of So You're Divorced, So What? And business strategy consultant for thought leaders, entrepreneurs, and storytellers. Together, we are transforming burned out professionals into purpose-driven powerhouses. This conversation today with Judy Koons is your simple path to a freedom-filled life. And without further ado, here's your episode. Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode. Listen, today I am having the privilege of introducing you to Judy Koons. She is a best-selling author of the book Spellbound No More, and she's also the founder of Dower.co. And I am so excited for her to tell us all about both of those things. We are diving into fears today, which, listen, in this podcast series is completely relevant. It is the number one thing that stands in the way of most people starting a podcast. So without further ado, Judy, thank you for being here.
It's great to be here with you, Shaunna. It's so much a part of my life. And I'm here to help people overcome those fears, not just overcome them, though. Those fears have a tendency to show up because of the past accumulation that we've gathered up. And I'm not interested in sharing with anyone how to learn a new skill or to push through. I love to help create space so that that accumulation can drop away, the spell binding can drop away, so that it's easy for you to share your voice, whether it's podcasting, whether it's social media, whether it's doing the writing you thought you always wanted to do, or painting the most cool mural,
Yeah.
in your bathroom. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. It's like, what's holding you back from living your fullest potential?
Yeah, I love that so much because you're touching on a few different things that are really important to me and resonate with me deeply. Um, I have three ex-husbands, but one of them used to tell me on a regular basis, "Oh, you just love conflict." And I was like, well, no, I don't love conflict, but what I do love is getting to the root of the issue and resolving that, because that is what lets us kind of move forward and be better and do better and interact better. But when we're talking about those fears, when you get at the root of that fear, that's what allows you to not just push through it and do the thing that is calling you, right? Like you can push through a fear and ignore it and hustle and kind of force your way through and still create a great book and put yourself on social media. But when you don't get at the root of what that fear is trying to tell you or talk to you, I feel like it's just going to show up in another way, in another place. It's just going to keep giving you the opportunity to resolve it until you do.
And it's going to be a lot of effort.
Yes. Oh,
So that,
yes.
yeah, so working through all that accumulation, working through all those things that are in the way of you being able to just express yourself authentically, there's so much effort. You're exhausted by the end of the day, by the end of the year, whatever. But to
Yes.
be able to get to the root of it and all that accumulation drop away, it can become effortless, even in the effort. So there's so much less pushing, there's so much less having to, talk yourself into something or create bypasses so that you can get something out there versus getting to the root. And it's like it just blossoms from within you. So I'm all about that. I'm all about the principles of nature and you being a piece of nature to steward. So let's get those things that are in your way gone. Just
Yeah.
gone.
I love that. So I guess tell us more specifically. I feel that this is really tied to your book, but tell us about your book, first of all, what it's about and where people can find it. But also, what I'd love for us to go into after that is kind of why you started the book. So your journey to writing the book, which I find to be equally interesting.
Well, Spellbound No More is just that. It's an invitation to release yourself from all of the trauma that you've experienced in your life. So it's about recognizing where the accumulation is and using freedom process to create enough space so that all of the meaning, all of the beliefs and the reinforced energy blockages can literally fall away. It is very simple in that we're not learning new skills. If anything, we're unlearning all the coping mechanisms that we've picked up along the way.
Yes.
So it's much more simple than we would make it. Yay,
Yes.
because
Yes.
we don't
Simple is
need that
good.
nowadays. Uh, the book takes you through your process. It's all about coming back to hearing what is coming from within you versus listening to all of the noise outside of yourself. So we're really wanting to reveal the trueness of you through Spellbound No More. It's we created the spellbinding. I know it
Yes.
came from outside, but we adopted all those beliefs and we brought them in and we put them in our backpacks and we carry those hundreds of pounds around all the time.
Yep.
You can take the rocks out of the backpack, freedom process. I always like to use the technology of the body because we can come into greater efficiency and effectiveness if we're embodying this work. So it's take the rocks out, drop the whole backpack if you're ready. And then what is it that you have, and in what medium are you willing to share your voice? It comes from the beginning for me. I always feel like seeking is reinforcing. So for most of my life, instead of really understanding that it was accumulation that was causing me to hold myself back, I was always seeking for the next best thing or the thing that was going to help me break through, or I was adding on more skills, more techniques, more therapy. How
Yes.
many can you say?
How many healing modalities does one person need?
I get
Yes.
like, oh,
Yes.
I did it all for myself because I wasn't finding the answers out there.
Mhm.
But the more that I did that, the more that I realized my body kept tensing up and contracting up, and it just seemed like my world got smaller and smaller. And that wasn't what I sensed within myself. I felt there was a lot more magic and extreme potential that I wasn't tapping into. So I started watching for golden threads through all of these modalities that I'd been working with. And once the golden threads came out, it made it super simple to pull the most effective pieces from the things that I'd learned or the things that I'd studied and simplify everything. Doing it for myself allowed me to start speaking to others about how to come from their authentic voice, how to live by design, how to recognize the magic that's always there, but that we don't see because of the noise of all this energy caught in the body from
Right.
old trauma, old meanings, old stories. And as soon as the magic shows up, it builds on itself and the momentum starts bringing you along. We
Yes.
always say
Yes.
with
Yes.
freedom process, you breathe into your body the way it's designed. Eventually, you'll recognize that you're actually being breathed. You don't have to effort to breathe. So, what if we applied that to all of our life across the board? Relationships, your work, your purpose in life, being a parent, um, your relationship with food, your relationship, coming out of the systems, really owning this. So to go from spellbound to free, nothing
I
else is
love that.
holding you back.
Well, and how long did you want to write this book before you actually sat down to start writing this book?
I remember in my early 20s doing some, self improvement seeking. And
Yeah.
that was one of the biggest pieces that came for me was the authorship piece of this design. And it's 20 some, almost 30 some years later. And I've written lots of ebooks or lots of reports or lots
Sure.
of writing for content. But this was the first time that I had created enough space for enough accumulation to drop away that it was like, it was effortless to write the book. It still took months, right?
Sure.
Because I'm all about wabi sabi. I wrote and wrote and wrote, and then I started scratching stuff out.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
like, I only want the essence of this. And so, yeah, I had quite a bit of accumulation in order to release or drop away in order for me to fully move forward in writing and sharing my voice that way.
Well, and I think that's a really good segue into us talking about that freedom process specifically. So I know the reason we wanted to create this episode was to kind of play with my podcast series, which is where, honestly, a lot of fears come up for people when they have the nudge, they feel the calling, they know it's something coming from them that needs to be shared. That's what I'm all about on Empowered Endeavors is using your voice. You have a voice that, you've got a story to tell. Let's get out there and do it. And that's when people's fears start bubbling up and coming to the surface again. And so let's talk about the freedom process that you are referring to.
Well, let's start with you.
Okay, let's
When you
do that.
started podcasting,
Yes.
what were just even one, what was one fear that came up for you?
Well, I'll tell you one fear that came up for me that is the most prevalent because it comes up for me in every facet of my life. I will say less now than before, but this fear of being seen and judged and worrying about what other people were going to think has kind of been this theme in my life. And so when I finally stepped up to the microphone, as it were, and said, okay, I'm going to start talking to the ethers and start this podcast, that came up for me big time was, oh my gosh, what are people going to think? Who's going to listen to this episode and think that I sound like a know-it-all when I'm giving people advice? Or, all of this noise came to the surface for me, until I realized it's really hard to get people to listen to your whole episode. It was like a nonsense fear, but that fear comes up a lot, worrying about what other people think.
So I'm gonna grab this a little bit. Are you willing?
Yeah, I told you I
Okay.
could be the guinea
So
pig, so let's do it.
awesome. You notice that you jumped in and started bypassing with it being a nonsense fear.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so that's the bypass piece that says, "Oh, I shouldn't even pay attention to that." But yet that energy is locked in your body.
Yep.
So it's almost impossible to ignore. So that means in order for you to do any podcast episodes, you have to try and get past the energy of being caught and being judged and being seen that's already stuck here. Because you've worked it out in your mind. You've shifted the misaligned thinking already, but it's locked in here energetically. So if you were to close your eyes and
Okay.
find in your body where you feel tension in relation to the fear of being seen, judged, criticized, being called a know it all, where would that be in your body? If you're not able to find it really easily, you can use your hands to give you reference from outside. So maybe your throat or your
So
chest.
I align with parts of my body with chakras. So I'm gonna say it's probably sacral. It's stomach, lower back area.
So survival.
Hmm.
What are they going to do if they judge you hard, right? How might that affect your survival? So if you just notice your sacrum and notice any tension there, and then you bring your breath into the sides of your body. Most of us breathe into the front of our bodies, but it only affects this. Most of
Hmm.
our systems are affected through breathing through the sides of our body. And the way our bodies are designed anatomically, all of our ribs move just a little bit up and out to the side. Every single one independently. So if you start breathing into the sides of your body, what happens is you engage all of your systems, especially your cranial sacral system, which is fight or flight oriented. It can recalibrate that, bring you out of that. So breathing into the sides. There's some subtleties in this, but if you start breathing into your sides, your body's going to take it and run with it because it likes this.
So I instantly know what you mean by that, but it is, as you were saying that, it was reminding me of a conversation I had several years ago where um, someone was essentially kind of making fun of the woo-woo talk, right? And it was because they didn't understand what that meant. So let's, for hypothetical reasons, let's pretend somebody is listening today who doesn't know what that means to breathe into your sides. Can you explain that to them?
I'm going to ask them to put their hands on the sides of their body, and I'm going to encourage them to push in a little bit and breathe. Push out with your ribs into your hands. Get the motion of your breath moving sideways instead of coming into your chest or your belly in the front. And just keep doing that. A little bit of effort for maybe in the beginning to breathe in and out. But using your hands as reference, you can get your body moving differently with your breath so that it engages every anatomical, physiological, chemistry system happening in your body.
That's good. Okay, yes. Very good.
Okay. So notice your sacrum. We come back to your sacrum where you're concerned. There's that energy caught in your body about being seen. And then you start breathing into your sides and notice what happens with your sacrum. Notice what happens with the tension.
I can feel it lessening a little bit. I don't know if I can feel it lessening.
So even if it increases for a little bit before it starts decreasing, you're getting energy moving. So that energy no longer is caught in that area of the body. So now you have shifted the mindset, but you've also started releasing the energy that's been caught in your body from the past or from future imaginings that stops you from having proper circulation and proper movement in that area of your body that represents survival. As soon as you start releasing that blockage, you're going to find things probably come to the surface and you'll remember old situations and they'll cause some discomfort maybe in other parts of your body. And all you have to do is use your breath to breathe alongside it. It holds your hand as that energy moves. And pretty soon you've just brought a rock out of your backpack and you've thrown it into the bushes so nobody can pick it up and pass it back to you because they saw you drop it.
Yeah, I love that.
Literally.
I love that. It also is, it's reminding me of my early days of birthing babies. I did Lamaze with my first two, and then I did, gosh, I don't even remember what it was called, but it was this holistic natural childbirth with my last baby. And what I essentially learned in both of those was how important the breath was during these moments of intense pain. And and what you are describing is the same process that was applied during childbirth, which was breathing into your body and allowing yourself to relax and release the pain. And our natural inclination is to tense up and clench when something hurts. And it's the same with emotional pain as it is with physical pain, which I like to argue that emotional pain becomes physical pain if you don't do anything with it. So same. But the more that we breathe into and sit with whatever is coming up is what allows it to then go away and release.
Well, and that's the thing. As you use your breath, because what's happening is not just your breath.
Right.
If you look at your body anatomically, when you breathe into your sides, your diaphragm functions differently. That diaphragm is all tied up into the heart space. It affects your nervous system, so it has the ability to regulate your nervous system. It affects your cranial sacral rhythm, which is all that fluid inside the spine and around the brain. When you tense up, you're signaling to your body to go into fight or flight a
Right.
little bit all the time. But as soon as you breathe into the sides of your body, then what happens is you recalibrate you reorganize, and you come out of fight or flight. Most of us are in fight or flight a little bit all the time.
Hmm.
It doesn't help us in order to be able to function properly. So as soon as you breathe into the sides of your body, your digestion is better. Your lungs function better, so they clear physical toxins as well. And then also your circulatory system, your heart gets extra support, so it doesn't have to do all the work all the time. So you literally are affecting every single cell. It's the most powerful technology we have, and it's free, and it's ours, and it's how we're designed. So us being able to breathe into the sides of the body, again, there's little pieces like most people think the efforting is supposed to be on the inhale. Not true. The efforting is actually supposed to be on the exhale. If you exhale with effort, when you relax, you automatically bring in all of that life-giving oxygen. There's a little movement that happens with your tailbone when you're breathing fully the way you're designed. When you're breathing out, the last thing is your tailbone tucks under just a tiny bit. When the tailbone starts floating back towards the back of the body, relaxing, that's what initiates the inhale. So all these little subtle things, breathing in through your nose, out through your nose, going really slow, you affect the chemicals in your body. You affect the way that the energy moves up your spine and affects the glands, especially something like the pineal gland in your brain. You want to have bright, sparkly creativeness in your life? Get that energy moving. And your breath can do all of that for you. Not in a mechanical way, because the whole idea is coming into it in our bodies so that it becomes effortless. So we don't have to effort in our breath. Again, eventually you'll recognize that you're being breathed.
Hmm.
Not that you have to effort to breathe. So when we're talking about coming into life and sharing our voice in whatever medium that is, why would we want to have to slug through the mud to do that?
Right.
Why wouldn't we want to create a sparkly path that just, leads the way and lets us share what our passions are, or what our knowledge is, or the inspiration that we can bring to other people in life?
Yeah. Yeah.
I like
I
the
love that.
sparkly path personally.
Yeah. Well,
And
I personally like the easy path.
sparkly path is easy. And
Yes.
and
Yes.
this seems like a little bit of effort in the beginning, but it actually is about changing the environment so that homeostasis can take over. And this technology knows exactly what to do. All we do is create space, the accumulation drops away, and this reorganizes so that it's just that much easier to do all of life.
And I love that. It works really hand in hand with this podcast series when we're talking about releasing those fears. I am curious how you've seen this. You call it the freedom method or the freedom process?
Freedom process.
Freedom process. So, what is maybe one or two of your favorite transformations that you've seen come out of people actually applying this process, going through your process with you?
My two favorites. Uh, well, I can say as a whole, everyone that does freedom process recognizes greater energy.
That's a good one.
So they are not having to carry so much weight of old stuck energy any longer. How about someone who has been wanting to share what they have, their voice, using their voice for 45 years, and they are now starting a podcast?
Yep.
And it's not going really difficult. Like there's not a lot of effort involved because they've created enough space for all of those fears of being judged, and all those fears of being criticized, and all those fears of being seen, looking a certain way, all the ways that they've judged themselves. They've created enough space to drop that so that they don't have to double project off of their listeners. Because that's essentially what we do with everything. We think it's other people that's judging us, but
Yeah.
there's this thing about double projection where we're already judging ourselves. Say today I look old. It's been a rough week or it's been whatever. And instead of me bringing it home and owning it, recognizing that as spellbinding, I will use another person to project that judgment to them so that they can bring it back and judge me as looking old. So that double projection, we get to chop it off at the knees and own it fully so that we can just drop all that accumulation that we would put on other people.
Yeah.
We don't have to do that. We can use freedom process. We can use our breath. We can use the technology of our bodies. Like, are you still breathing into your sides, Shaunna?
A little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
At first, we practice a bit in order to uh, get our bodies, like essentially, we're unlearning the old breathing patterns.
Yep.
So as we breathe into the sides, we're going to naturally go back to the old patterns for a bit, but then we do a little more. And
Yep.
pretty soon we've dropped enough of the old patterns that this is how we're breathing all the time, every day, all day long. And then if something big comes up, we can bring it into consciousness in order to help us release the energy that's
I
either
mean,
coming in or past energy.
you've just described any healing modality. Right? It's all unlearning and how you've applied that to yourself. So there's a little practice that's involved before it becomes the new normal. And then the next big thing comes along and you can apply what you've learned to that and it gets easier.
The thing we do a little differently than most is that we're not reinforcing anything.
Mm-hmm.
We really, truly, with your breath, are opening yourself up to greater potential and possibility. And it seems extremely simple. I wouldn't recommend you go and breathe into the sides of your body for an hour straight.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
wouldn't. You will blow yourself up. Because it's that profound in what it does in the body. You will go into detox. You will start shaking. You will feel uncomfortable. You will, end up with your body responding really quickly and evacuating. You will, it's that powerful. And I still recommend start with 5 minutes every hour and get yourself into this. Wow, how I am designed. I can bring down the noise, and then now I can hear the trueness of what's coming from me as far as how to proceed, how to move forward with this.
Yeah.
It's not it's not for the faint of heart, to be totally honest.
Well, I think that about the healing journey in general, right? Like it
Yes.
it takes um courage to look at your stuff.
Yes, it does, because it's uncomfortable, and most of life has caused us to avoid what's uncomfortable.
Yeah. I had someone tell me one time, "You're really good at being uncomfortable." And I was like, I don't I mean, thank you. Like it made me
Thank
pause, right? I'm like I I don't shy away from it now, but um yeah, I mean that's how we're conditioned to live our lives is to avoid being uncomfortable. And the minute you start leaning into it, well, all sorts of stuff comes up for you. You're lucky enough to see it all. Um, and I love this whole healing journey because it's like Shrek says, ogres are like onions. Like we're all like that. We have layers. You uncover one layer, and then lucky you, there's more underneath.
I totally love what you shared. It's, you know, the biggest thing that we're shedding now is all of this learned from outside of ourselves. And really, truly, if you're willing to just sit in the discomfort, breathe into your sides, you will find that there will be about I don't know. I don't want to scare people, but about 95% of what we've picked up over time has come from outside of ourselves. Some of it represents what is true for us, but most of it is picking up a pattern from someone somewhere that we looked up to, or that we were trying to gain approval from, or that we wanted to get appreciation or love from. So instead of doing that, what does it feel like to recognize ourselves as love? And then we get to just share ourselves with those around us, the individuals we love, the individuals that we're supporting, the individuals that we want to work with. It's not rocket science, but it's definitely hidden science.
Oh, I love that. Yes, hidden science. That is a very accurate description.
I don't know about you, but in my experience, the more I was willing to take a look at how my body works, at how uh, my being shows up, the more I was able to recognize that I was either in fear or curiosity. Fear doesn't
Mhm.
support curiosity. But if
Mm-mm.
I'm in curiosity and I'm willing to recognize where there's discomfort in my body, and I always encourage everybody to avoid this story and come into the qualities of whatever you're feeling in your body, because then you're not going to be reinforcing the story. So I find tension in my body, and say I'm experiencing difficulty with the idea of sharing my voice in a podcast or social media, and I feel so much tension. Oh, I feel like it's tight, it's dark, it's heavy. Now I'm going to breathe into the sides of my body, and I'm going to pay attention to that dark, heavy, tight. And I just keep breathing. And pretty soon I can feel the breath, the movement of the breath up in my throat. And then all of a sudden it starts loosening. Oh, and then it tightens down again. And I start feeling a little bit of like, oh, flip. If I let go of this, what is that going to mean? And then I'm going to be like out there, and then I'm going to have to deal. Right. And so it tightens down, and I just keep breathing. And then it starts releasing and releasing and releasing. Oh, wow. Wow. I feel like I can breathe easier, like literally through my neck. And wow, I can feel some tension releasing through the back of my neck. And I'm just continuing to breathe through the sides of my body. Pretty soon, I'm writing, I'm speaking, and I didn't even have to work that out. It just naturally happens because I let all of this tension indicate to me where I had energy that was caught or stuck in the body. And the breath, I brought it in alongside it, created space. All of those old traumas of being criticized, like way back when I was in grade 2 and somebody said, oh, your clothes don't match or something, right? Oh, wow. I gave that all sorts of meaning. Like, I don't have the ability to see myself, or I'm not very good at putting things together, or, you know, no one wants to hear what I have to say. It might have been a really creative, statement I was making with what I was wearing. And so I've just created space for all of that old energy to fall away. Now, what happens is there's space to be curious again, instead of in that fear or caught in that fear.
I love that you were focusing on curiosity. That was one of the first kind of brain tactics that I used. And I often will encourage people to just get curious. We're so good at judging ourselves and criticizing, but if we can just step into getting curious about what we're noticing in our body or what thoughts are bubbling up, and pass no judgment whatsoever to it and just get curious about it, it's really eye-opening, like just what can happen from a state of curiosity. Of course, that's easy for me. I'm a Gemini. I'm a human design, like Manny Gen. Like I am all about curiosity and learning, and people fascinate me. So that was an easy one for me to kind of lean into um, when it came to like dropping the judgment for myself specifically.
Well, I tell you, in the way that we're doing this work, uh, judgment is war. So anytime you're doing war with yourself, it's time to breathe into the sides of your body, because you can't do war with yourself and breathe into the sides of your body at the same time. You're
Yes.
fulfilling your potential and you're coming into your design war. There's no room for it. And it helps you release all the old injury from war from day one or beyond. Like, we can have a lot of this energy caught in our bodies from before we're born, even.
Yes.
So you bring in all these ancestral energy holdings, and then you wonder, why am I not able, like, what's in the way? You can't identify something in your lifetime, which is the beautiful part about freedom processes. We're not looking for the why. We're just looking for the tension that whatever it was created.
Oh, I love that you said that because that's often been a question that came up that I've toyed around with other people. And that is, how much do we need to know where it came from and why it is? Or do you just need to be, I love that, 0%.
We don't need to know where it came from. We can use the body to let us know where that energy's caught. We do not have to know. Lots of times it will come. You know, as the energy's moving, you'll have an old memory or you'll have something, but you
Yeah.
don't have to have that first, and you do not have to grab onto it. It's moving out. The best is at that point to be hands off and let it just move out.
Yeah.
It's done at that point. And your ability, that's actually step 4 in freedom process, is hands off. Allow it to reorganize. It doesn't matter what comes to your mind. Just let it keep moving. Keep breathing. Just stay
Man,
focused on your breath.
step 4 is a big one. Allowing, a lot of people get stuck there.
They really do, because we're used to categorizing and we're used to analyzing. It's so complicated when it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
You can keep it very simple. For example, someone's having difficulty doing social media, say,
Yes.
and all of a sudden it's 3 weeks later and they were going to post and they were going to set up some posts and they were going to, set it up so that they went out automatically, and they've done nothing for 3 weeks.
Yes.
Holy, where's the tension in my body about doing a social media post? Where do I feel that? Automatically, I go into my space, wherever it is. Generally, most people feel it, you know, voice and down. And then I can breathe into the sides of my body. And then it's surprising how often all of a sudden you're posting on social media. Because,
Effortlessly.
yeah, effortlessly, because you were willing to recognize without having to go through 2 or 3 more weeks trying to figure out, which we, no, 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 no. Figuring it out is a form of, oh, it's so distracting.
It is. It is. And that's where a lot of talk therapy, and listen, there's a time and place for that. I think there's a lot of value in being able to spend time and kind of analyze things and figure out where they came from. It can be really helpful, but I think what you're hitting on is a really crucial point, which is it's not necessary for it to be that difficult.
Not even close. And I'm all about talk in order to shift misaligned thinking, because misaligned thinking often is what causes the energy to get caught in the body.
Yes.
So I'm okay with that part of it. But in direction, if I'm working with someone, I mostly work with groups now, but if I'm working with a group of individuals and they're caught in the story and they spend the whole hour in the story, we didn't spend any time creating space for something else
Right.
to show up, for that curiosity to be prominent. We literally, especially if we were not breathing into the sides of the body, we reinforced the story because we told it
Yep.
again.
Yep.
And our body's responding to that story.
I love that. I did a retreat one time where one of the activities we did was to tell your story, whatever that story is. Write it down, tell the story. And at the very end, and people were crying and it was cathartic and blah, 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 all the pain came up. And he goes, okay, great. You're never telling that story ever again for the rest of your life. He was like, you have told that story for the last time. And it was like this, oh, hold on a second moment, right? He got everybody's attention.
Yeah.
Um, but it raised that exact point that you're making, that you're not doing yourself any good by retelling the story. It's just reinforcing what you don't want. Yeah,
It's
I love that.
keeping that war alive.
Well, and this is a good segue into the next question I have, which is if people want to engage with you and they are interested in doing this process with you, how do they find you?
Well, they go to door.co, daur.co, and at the bottom of the homepage is an opportunity to join a complimentary membership where we're doing Freedom Process complimentary
Love
every
it.
couple weeks, where we're doing freedom talks to shift the mindset, where we're doing somatics, which is internal intrinsic movement that also helps to release all that caught energy. It's natural movement the way we're designed, and we're doing all of that complimentary or by minimal donation. It's 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 a whole package. We're available there to support you, and the community is super supportive and super active. And it doesn't matter what it is that you feel like is blocking you in your life, we're going to touch on it.
I
We're
love
going to
that.
touch on it.
I love that. Well, and then my last question that I have for you was what is one piece of advice that you would give someone who wants to do what you are doing?
Uh, do it for yourself. Essentially, the clearer you are with the less accumulation, the easier it is going to be for you to support another.
Yes.
We have a facilitator program within the community that we work with in order to help you get to everything in your system that would be holding you back. But when it comes to what I'm doing, which is sharing and supporting, where do you feel that tension? Where do you feel that tension? Where do you feel that tension in your low back? And can you breathe into the sides of your body? Because you don't need anyone else for that. It belongs to everyone. I always say that freedom process belongs to everyone. Jump in, get freedom process, take it away with you if that's all you want. At the same time, you use that, more of you is going to show up every single day. So you spellbound yourself. You picked up all those beliefs. You picked up all those criticisms. You took them on, and now you're double projecting on others back to yourself. All you have to do is come back to your breath, and you can't do that the same way. You can't be at war and breathing into the sides at the same time. So you come back to creativity. You come back to source creativity through curiousness. And I would say do freedom process, breathe into the sides of your body, get going. Go slow to go fast. Promise that's a sustainable way. We don't have to
Yes.
go into any catharsism. We don't have to go into any kind of aggressiveness. That's what reinforced it in the first place.
Right.
We were working ourselves over. So you come in and you start breathing alongside yourself. You're going to take yourself through the doorway to freedom. It's there for you. It's always been there. Your breath is the key to your freedom.
I love that.
That's
And
simple.
yeah, it's that simple. And listen, I am here for easy and simple solutions.
Yeah, me too.
I love that. I love that. Well, this has been super informative, I'm sure, for everyone who is listening, but I found it highly enlightening and super fun to chat with you. So thank you for being here with me.
Well, all I know, Shaunna, is that you're helping people.
I
You're
am.
helping people to bring their voice forward. And the tapestry that creates in our world, I'm full of gratitude for. All over the place because every single voice comes together in that mandala that is magic in this world. So I
Yep.
appreciate you so
Yep.
much. And
Thank you.
and this is just so fun to have conversations with you. I know you get it. And I hope you'll be breathing.
Yes. Yes. Oh, I took the seed you planted and I'm going to water it for sure. For sure.
Well, there's quite a few tracks in the membership area that are complimentary that you can just use to breathe alongside. It just helps keep you cued and keep you focused. And I really want to do one for your audience when it comes to sharing their voice. We
I
just
love
want
that.
to know, enough about what really stops them. I already know because I know myself and
Yes.
I've heard you, but it's like, what would it be like to have a track that's specific for your audience that they could use to bring their voice forward?
Yes. One specific for podcasting would be amazing because, yeah, it's all about bringing your voice forward, and everyone has a story to tell. It's just you have to get out of your own way to tell it.
And there's always someone that's going to relate and be able to
Yes,
understand. It's like one story between 8 billion people. There's got to be enough people that could relate to that, right?
yes,
Is it 9
totally.
billion or something now? I don't know.
I don't know the total number.
I love talking with you. Thank you.
I know this has been so fun. So thank you again.
Yeah. Keep breathing.
Keep breathing.